The afternoon sun glared down like fire over the training ground of Fort Hallis. Rows of soldiers stood rigid, sweat running down their temples. The general's booming voice cut through the heat. "I need one volunteer," he barked. "Someone willing to take on Sergeant Stone's challenge." A hush swept through the ranks. Every soldier knew what that meant. Stone's combat drill was brutal. He didn't go easy on anyone. One wrong move and you'd be flat on your back in the dirt. No one stepped forward, and then, from the end of the line, a soft yet steady voice spoke up. "Permission to volunteer, sir." Every head turned. Standing there, slim and composed, was Lieutenant Arya Verma, the administrative clerk. The one who managed paperwork, handled supplies, and spent her time behind a desk. Her uniform was crisp, but her hands didn't carry the calluses of field training. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. "She's kidding, right? A clerk? Against Stone. She'll get crushed." Sergeant Stone folded his arms, towering like a mountain. "Ma'am, this drill isn't a typing contest," he said dryly, but Arya didn't flinch. She looked him straight in the eyes. "With respect, Sergeant, I didn't volunteer for paperwork." The general raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Permission granted," he said finally. The soldiers formed a circle as the challenge began. Arya stepped into the dusty ring, her heart pounding but her mind razor sharp. Stone's whistle blew and he lunged like lightning, every move designed to intimidate. She dodged the first swing, barely. Laughter rippled from the sidelines, but then everything changed. Arya moved differently now. Quick, precise, calm. She wasn't reacting, she was anticipating. When Stone came in for another attack, she pivoted, grabbed his wrist, and used his momentum to flip him straight onto the ground. The entire field went silent. Dust hung in the air as Stone blinked in disbelief from the ground. The soldiers who had laughed now stared, open-mouthed. Arya stepped back, her breathing steady. "With respect, Sergeant," she said softly, "strength isn't always about size." For a moment, even the general couldn't speak. Then a slow clap broke the silence. It was Stone himself. He got up, saluted her, and said, "Remind me never to underestimate anyone again." The general nodded, pride glinting in his eyes. "Lieutenant Verma, you just taught every soldier here a lesson they won't forget." By evening, Arya's name echoed across Fort Hallis. Soldiers whispered in awe about the clerk who defeated the sergeant, but Arya didn't bask in glory. While others celebrated, she returned quietly to her office, sorting reports as if nothing had happened. That night, the general visited her quarters. "At ease, Lieutenant," he said. "You've done more for morale today than any training session ever could." Arya smiled faintly. "Sir, I only wanted to prove that I belong here." The general shook his head. "No, Lieutenant. You proved that everyone belongs here, when they have courage." From that day on, things at Fort Hallis began to change. Soldiers who once mocked Arya now trained under her guidance. Even Sergeant Stone joined her evening drills, learning self-defense techniques that focused on balance, awareness, and inner calm. Arya taught them something no manual ever could, that real power comes from discipline, not dominance. That confidence isn't born from biceps, but from belief. Over time, the base transformed. The respect she earned wasn't out of sympathy. It was pure admiration. She had broken an invisible barrier, not just for herself, but for every woman who had ever been told she wasn't strong enough. Months later, at the annual ceremony, the general called Arya to the stage. In front of hundreds of soldiers, he presented her with a medal for exemplary conduct and leadership. "Lieutenant Verma," he said, his voice echoing, "you reminded us all that courage doesn't always shout. Sometimes it simply stands its ground." As she saluted, a hush fell. The soldiers who once doubted her now stood tall with respect in their eyes. Later, as the sun set behind the parade ground, Arya looked out over the base, the same field where she had once been laughed at. Now it felt different. She had proven that strength isn't about who you defeat, but about who you inspire. And that's the story of Lieutenant Arya Verma, the quiet clerk who silenced doubt, redefined courage, and became the heartbeat of her battalion. If her story moved you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to her Mission Diaries, where every week, we bring you real and inspiring stories of women who turn ordinary moments into extraordinary missions, because courage has no uniform, no gender, only purpose.